Welcome to In the Press Box. I'm Jeff Van Patten with the Star Herald. I'm speaking with Jarred Berger, the Gering High School wrestling coach today. Coach Berger, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you started as a Gering wrestling coach.
Well, been wrestling my whole life, so it's been a big part of myself growing up. Wrestled for Gering. My dad actually wrestled for Gering. He was one of the first two-time state champs for Gering, so kind of a long lineage of just wrestling and enjoying that sport. So I grew up kind of being a wrestler and loving wrestling, but not only wrestling, but wrestling for Gering. And I went on to college, wrestled at the University of Nebraska. After I graduated there, I was kind of out of it for a couple of years, about 3 or 4 years. And then I got back into coaching at Lincoln Pius, which in a little Catholic school in Lincoln. And it kind of started that fire of wanting to coach again. So after that, I was like, man, I really want to coach. And we decided, my wife and I decided to move back to Gering. And so I kind of joined the staff here as just a volunteer. And again, just with love the sport, really wanted Gering to be good. And then when the former coach resigned, I put my hat in the ring and wanted to be the head coach. And it's kind of the rest is history, so to speak. We're still trying to make history, but it's that's where we're at. So it's been fun.
Yeah. And what were some of the challenges you faced when you first took over the program?
A lot of challenges, actually, a lot more than I thought. Being a head coach is so much more different than just teaching technique or showing up to practice every day and yelling at kids. There's so much stuff outside of practice that you have to deal with, whether it's fundraising or working with parents to coordinate food for the kids or setting up camps for the kids or making sure kids' grades are good. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to kind of navigate through to be a head coach. Stuff that I didn't think about, stuff that challenged me because I wasn't ever part of that before. I just showed up to coach and wrestle with the kids. And so a little bit different. But luckily I have a great staff around me. Coach Donaldson's amazing. He knows so much about the sport. He's been a head coach before, so he really has kind of been able to mentor me along, which has been great.
Yeah, and I saw recently you guys were doing a fundraiser for Coach Donaldson.
Yep. So he was diagnosed with colon cancer about this time last year, actually. It struck a pretty big blow on our program. But he kind of went through the treatment and as of now we think he's pretty in the clear. Yeah. But yeah, so we did a fundraiser for him, and it's great. He was able to coach this year, and wrestling means so much to him. It was awesome for him to be able to coach and help out.
And was he a Gering wrestler in the past too, or?
He wasn't. He's from Rocky Ford, Colorado. So he's from another kind of like very similar to Gering, a very proud wrestling tradition. He had really good coaches growing up, much like Coach Dieter was for Gering. He had coaches there. Coach White, I think was his name, and really good mentor to Coach Donaldson. Really helped him, and he went on and wrestled at Rocky Ford went on to wrestle at Adams State College. So. But after that, he moved out here, and we kind of met actually when I was still in high school. So I was helping out then. So we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, having been a two-time state champion at Gering, did you ever think that you would end up taking over the program?
I did. I didn't know about Gering. I knew I wanted to coach. I've always enjoyed the sport enough that I wanted to kind of give it back and be able to put my 2 cents in as a head coach, because I didn't have really good head coaches when I was in high school because Chuck Dieter had retired, so I kind of had the 3 or 4 coaches that came after him, which was hard, because we never got anything really set. And so, coming off of that, I still had success, but not as much as I probably could have or maybe should have, with having a real good, solid coach. So it's always kind of stuck with me, wanting to be a head coach to help really guide these kids and make them successful, as I can.
Yeah, what did it mean to you to take over as wrestling coach at the same school where you wrestled?
It means a lot. It's a huge honor for me. When I got the job, obviously excited, but the shoes are huge to fill. Probably insurmountable. I can't really fill the shoes that Coach Dieter had, but I want to build on that tradition. Because I was a part of it. My dad was a part of it. It means so much to me. I always tell people I bleed blue and gold, man. I'm a Gering Bulldog through and through. And for me to be able to be the head coach and have success and have state champions coming off us and getting third this year and kind of growing the program. We were in a bad spot for the last 10, 15 years. We were in a bad spot, and now we're starting to have success. And that's not just because of me. That's because of my assistant coach Randy and my other coaching. He's on the coaching staff. The kids, the families around it. All the support that we have. It takes all that to be successful. So it means a lot to be the head coach and to have success. It's a huge honor.
You mentioned that your father wrestled at Gering. You had other family that wrestled there too, right?
Yep, I had an uncle, Eric, my dad's younger brother, quite a bit younger than my dad, but he wrestled there. He was a state placer, I think, a couple times. I had, obviously, Brock and Brandon Smith were both state champions. Brock was a 3-time state champ and was an All-American at Kearney. So he came after me a few years, but he also helps out in the room. Of course, my brother wrestled. He did pretty good. He wasn't that great,
yeah.
but he was a qualifier for state, so it is very much a family sport.
Yeah.
We support each other, and it's nice to have, those old, family members looking back and
yeah.
the alumni looking back. My dad loves it. He loves that I'm the head coach and he can kind of see
yeah.
everything going on. So
yeah, and I remember actually doing a story on Brock when he was 11.
Yeah.
He had just won some big tournament.
Yeah.
So
no, Brock's great. He's moved back here too, so it's been nice to have him. He comes up in the room when he can, and it's so nice to have him in there because it's just another, he's so much younger than me. The kids were alive when he
yeah.
wrestled. They weren't quite alive when I wrestled, or Coach Donaldson. So
yeah.
it's nice to have him in the room, and anytime you have somebody in the room that their name's up on that wall as a state champion,
yeah.
That means a lot to those kids because they can kind of put, make that connection, put those together, and
yeah.
anything that comes out of his mouth, they eat up, and which is good.
Yeah.
So it's
Do you
fun.
ever try to talk him into becoming a permanent part of your staff?
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit. He's busy. He has three young daughters, so that they keep him busy. I'm just grateful for the help when he comes in when he can. I know he does a lot of MMA stuff, so he's still training and trying to fight and compete himself. So
yeah.
I said, come in and get some of your wrestling with our bigger guys, because they could use the help. And he actually helped out, our 60-pounder quite a bit this year. So it was good having him in there.
Yeah. Did you were you surprised about getting that Wrestling of the Year coach honor this year?
I was, it's flattering, but for me, it wasn't just an honor. I mean, I look at it as like that was just because of me, and my coaches and the staff that we have. I mean, I didn't do all this,
Yeah.
Of course I'm the head coach, so I get the honor, but man, that award's for all of us, for our whole staff,
Yeah.
Especially Randy. He's helped a ton this year. And in all years, I mean, he's such a good mentor for me. So when I accepted it as like, this is for all of us.
Yeah.
I knew that, so.
All right, and as a multi-time state champion, what's harder, wrestling for a state title or coaching somebody to a state title?
Wrestling, you're in the moment and you're so focused and you're kind of, at least for me, it was tunnel vision. And I knew what I had to get done and I could block out the distraction. Of course, I didn't have the same distractions kids do nowadays with the social media and everything else, but it's a lot different. It's a lot more stressful as a head coach than I remember as being a wrestler. You're worried about so much more, so many more things as a coach than I was as a wrestler, if I remember. So probably as a coach, a little more stressful for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about changing the culture at Gering. Do you feel like you guys are on the right path to restoring that tradition that they've had in the past?
Yeah, I think so. We have, like I said, we have great support, and that's the first thing. It's when you change a culture in a program, it's like turning an aircraft carrier. It takes time and it's a little bit slow. First year, we had some kids that we need to kind of weed out some of the bad apples, so to speak, and we were able to do that. And we got great kids coming in that were successful right away, which helps. Winning helps everything.
Yeah.
That helps. So we had success right away. And we kind of just built on that, and we set the bar. I sat down with Coach Donaldson, and we talked about what we want to do for our program. We kind of set the bar pretty high,
Yeah.
and we didn't quite achieve it the first couple of years, but now we're starting to approach that. What we want to do and what our goals, and we're third place in the state, fourth place in state duels, multiple state champs. That's what we want to do year in and year out. So that's kind of the bar we set, and we feel like we're on the right path to changing that culture.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I talked to Morrill's Blake Loafing and Tanner Wedham about the success they've had at Morrill, and they felt like it bled over into other sports. Do you think the success you guys have had in wrestling will bleed into some of the other sports as well?
I hope so, and that's the intent. That's kind of what we want to do. We've Gering as a whole has kind of struggled in other sports. They've done really well in some sports. Cross country, they were state champs. With the girls, the boys did excellent. So trying to build on those things and hoping that our athletes will see the culture and the kind of the bar that we set, because I don't know if they've ever been pushed to where they need to go.
Yeah.
And hey, look, you guys can achieve this if you got to put the time in and the effort in. It's not easy. You got to do more than just show up. And that's kind of what we said, and I hope it bleeds over into other sports, in track and soccer and the football and every sport that Gering plays. Because like I said, I'm a Bulldog through and through, and if football's successful, that's going to help drive all the other sports. And so we know that. I know that as a coach. So I want nothing more than our kids to have success in other sports, and not just sports, but in school as well, in academics as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen, but within the last few days, anywrestling.com named you guys as the top contender coming back as far as next year's state tournament. Do you think that kind of puts a target on you guys' back? Or?
Oh, for sure. But that's what we wanted. That, like I said, that's the bar we set. That's what Gering was from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. They were one of the top teams in the state, so they always had a target on their back. But I think with the kids that we have and the direction we're going, that's more motivating. Say, hey, look where we were 5 years ago to where we are now, and that will hopefully generate interest in the younger kids and the club kids and keep them motivated to keep coming and keep working hard when you see that success. So I don't mind the target. I don't pay a ton of attention to a lot of that stuff just because I'm trying to stay focused on that stuff. But we still have to go out and wrestle. We still have to go out and train and do the stuff in the off season, prepare. There's so much work to be done between now and the beginning of the season next year.
Yeah.
That who knows? It's a long ways away. A year's a long way away. So we'll see at state. But we feel like we got a great shot. We feel like we're one of the best teams coming back. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. All right. So I talked a little bit to you earlier in the season, some of the other coaches in the area, and they all have a problem or a hard time filling all 13 weight classes. Is that something that you guys face at Gering?
Yeah, we have in the past. This year's been the most full team we've had. We were able to fill all 14 weights. We haven't done that for a long time, so that helps so much in a dual setting. It helps so much in tournaments where you have 14 opportunities to score points at a tournament. You have whether that's more than having 6 or 7 or whatever. So we have that opportunity with those kids. So it is a challenge. We struggle a little bit with some of the bigger kids. So last year we challenged all of our wrestlers to go out and recruit some kids. Say, hey, go get some football players, get some bigger kids. We need some kids that we have plenty of kids between 106 and 160. We need some kids above that. So we challenged our kids to go out, recruit some kids, bring them in, let's get them on the team, and that worked out well. But we still have that problem. We want to be 2 and 3 deep in every weight if we can, and hopefully we're kind of trending that direction. And success helps that. Kids want to be a part of a successful program, so hopefully that'll help bring some more kids out and get them interested and get them on the team.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges? A lot of those football kids that are wrestling for you, it's their first or second year wrestling. What are some of the challenges you face trying to get them caught up, I guess, so to speak?
That's it. It's just they're new to the sport. We had kids that wrestled when they were really little and then didn't wrestle for 10 years and then came out when they were junior or senior. And it's just you play catch up for a long time throughout the season, and it's hard because you have a lot of kids that are experienced and we're drilling and training one way, and you have to try to get these kids up to speed. So we kind of just limit what they do. Just say, hey, let's focus on these things, these basics, get them there. And then we've had kids that just never wrestled before.
Yeah.
And wrestling's it's a very weird sport because there's nothing like it. Football's not really close to it. It's physical, but it's different. And basketball's different, and track's different. So getting kids to understand how to move their body and which ways to fall and not go to your back. So that's a big challenge for kids that have never wrestled before. It's a little hard, because it's tough for those kids mentally because they don't have success right away, and that can play some games with them mentally. But we feel like we've done a good job trying to build these kids up. And we had some kids that came out and have never wrestled before and won quite a few matches for us. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I know Bridgeport's coach, Zach Malcolm, was telling me that they have a pretty good youth program. Does Gering have a pretty good youth program as well?
Yeah, we do. We got a great youth program, and that's been the driving force behind the success that we've had at the high school. Frank Weber is the head coach of that program, and he's done a tremendous job. And in fact, all the placers on our team this year, except for Paul. Paul was from Alliance, their program, but Quentin and Nate and Jacob and Murillo and Nagel, all those kids grew up in our program, our kids club program, and so they had success growing up through there. They went through that program, and now we're seeing the results of that. So it's crucial to have a good kids program, a solid kids program, and we feel like we have a really good one right now. So we're excited about that.
What are your hopes for next season?
Oh man, our goal this season was to win state, and we felt like we had the team to go do it. We fell a little bit short. We were a couple placers away from probably being able to compete with Hastings. Hastings was 13 qualifiers, and kids that were all scoring points, so it's tough to compete with that. You know, that's our goal next year. Our goal is to go down and win state duels and win the state tournament. You know, we want more state champions. Those kids are hungry. They won state, want to win again. I know Paul's extremely hungry. He lost a heartbreaking one in the finals. You know, Tyler's coming back. We have other kids that are going to contribute that are coming up in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So, you know, our expectation is the same. It's, you know, our goal is going to be to go and compete for a state title, both the duels and the state tournament, and, you know, have multiple placers and really just, you know, have a successful season, you know, and get kids to, you know, buy into our program and achieve their goals. I mean, really, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and certainly you got to be proud of your kids. I mean, like you said, Hastings had 13 state qualifiers. I think, was it Bennington? Or no, Scott, ahead of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
They had 7.
Yep.
Or I know they had a few more than you guys.
Yeah.
So do you feel pretty good about how you guys placed?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Considering you had fewer wrestlers?
Yeah, I'm extremely proud. I mean, you know, I talk about always wanting to get better, always wanting to do better, but I'm extremely proud of these guys. I mean, and not just the kids that qualify for state, you know, all those kids on the team that were there for every practice and working hard. Because without those guys, you know, these kids wouldn't have necessarily done what they've done. I mean, it takes a whole team. Everybody, you know, is part of that team and part of this program. You know, we always call ourselves a family. You know, we're hard on each other every once in a while, but we also help build each other up. And I'm extremely proud of, you know, every one of those kids. They were, you know, everything that they got, you know, they earned that. And
yeah.
You could see it, you know, in the mornings when we had practices and lifting weights and conditioning and everything. I mean, it's fun to be a part of a program like that. So I'm extremely proud of them.
Yeah, and I've seen how you guys come together as a team. I remember, I think it was against Ogallala when Isaiah Blanco got a big win for you guys to win a duel, and I mean, you had everybody up there cheering him on, and it seemed like that was a pretty big occurrence for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we talked about. Say, hey, you pump your team up, you know, be for your team, you know. And when I first came in, it wasn't that way. When I first came in, it was, you know, everybody kind of did their own thing, and we weren't cohesive. And you know, that's one thing that Coach Donaldson and I really preach is, you know, we're only as strong as our weakest link, and so we know that, and so we want to build each and every one of those kids up. And Isaiah's one of those kids that came in, never wrestled before a day in his life, and a big kid, and went out, and he's won a lot of that match. We don't win that match, we don't win that duel, and we don't go to state duels. So, you know, everything depends on, you know, the smallest little thing. So, man, it was awesome. And those kids are excited. We want everybody to win our team. You know, we're pushing for all of our kids to be, you know, we want every one of our kids. And, you know, same thing with Markel when he qualified for state. I mean, our team was, you know, yelling and screaming, and everybody in the team, you know, best kid to the JV kid, it didn't matter. We were all so excited for that. So that's kind of a team bond that we have. And you have that, I think you have something special. And that's definitely what we have. So it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.